2 months later, the village construction is finally complete. Families begin moving in, and the houses, crafted with care and precision, look remarkable. Soon after, early summer arrives, bringing a sense of vibrancy to the newly built settlement. In his study, Logan sits with Dwayne, discussing the town's progress. Dwayne reports that the town reclamation is proceeding smoothly, but notes a shortage of manpower due to the vast size of the land. Logan reassures him, mentioning that refugees have been arriving steadily after hearing rumors about the flourishing town. He instructs Dwayne to accept all newcomers to address the labor shortage. Logan then inquires about Hamar, and Dwayne informs him that there's no news since Hamar is still on vacation. He adds that this vacation is unusually long, implying it will be some time before Hamar returns. Logan briefly wonders if he gave Hamar too much time off, but quickly dismisses the thought. With the town construction and crossbow production complete, he figures things should run smoothly in Hamar's absence. Dwayne hesitates before asking about a rumor he heard, that Hamar received a large quantity of mithril before leaving. Logan confirms it, explaining that he gave the mithril to Hamar so the dwarf could experiment with it during his vacation and create new weapons for the knights. Dwayne raises an eyebrow and remarks that this doesn't sound much like a vacation. Logan responds with an awkward smile, arguing that handling rare metals is a dream for dwarves, and that Hamar should be thrilled with the opportunity. Dwayne, unconvinced, remains skeptical, but doesn't press the matter. With a satisfied nod, Logan concludes that the town settlement is complete, the land reclamation is under control, and there's only one remaining concern to address. Elsewhere, Viscount Max Peretta is seething with anger, slamming his hand on the table. The cause of his fury? The McLains have successfully reclaimed the wasteland. He scoffs at the notion, declaring that barren land like that couldn't possibly be cultivated. The vassal explains that rumors are circulating about the source of their wealth. Some say the McLain's first young master made a fortune through business. Others claim he discovered a gold mine, and there's even talk of money raining from the sky. The Viscount dismisses the gossip, instructing his vassal to focus on verifiable facts. He then inquires about the potential yield from the reclaimed land. The vassal estimates conservatively that it will produce at least double what their own territory yields. This news only fuels the Viscount's frustration, as he realizes they can't afford to sit idly by while a neighboring territory grows wealthy and powerful. The Viscount bluntly asks his vassal if they can fabricate an excuse to invade. The vassal hesitates, then suggests there might be no need to fabricate anything. He reveals that some people from their territory have fled to the McLain town, and they could use this as a pretext to infiltrate. He proposes they claim either the reclaimed land or the neighboring Tesseron plains as compensation. However, the vassal admits a potential issue, which the Viscount immediately identifies. It would be too risky to act alone. The primary obstacle is a man named Soto Silvan. Recognizing this, the Viscount devises a plan. He instructs his vassal to contact the Silvan Viscounty, noting that their people might also have fled due to similarly high taxes. By uniting their forces, the two Viscounties could overpower the McLains. The vassal, impressed, kneels before the Viscount and praises his wisdom, declaring it a sound and strategic choice. Inside Logan's study, the atmosphere is tense as Patrick, Logan, Dwayne, and Heinkel discuss matters of training and military expansion. Logan states that they've selected about 300 particularly talented recruits, and they are training them separately without any immediate assignments. Patrick, raising an eyebrow, questions whether Logan truly believes that 300 recruits are worthy of becoming knights. Logan nods affirmatively, without hesitation. Dwayne, surprised by the number, remarks that it seems quite a lot, while Heinkel goes further, calling it an absurd number. Heinkel argues that even if soldiers were trained intensively for 10 years, only 1 in 100 would awaken their force. This would mean only about 10 knights out of 1,000 soldiers, a ratio that astounds Dwayne. Logan remains unbothered by these statistics, asserting that they will maintain the current training system. He adds that they will continue bringing in new soldiers every year and annually reinforce their horses and weapons. Dwayne, unable to contain his frustration, exclaims that Logan is wasting money in such peaceful times. Patrick, weighing in, reminds Logan that their family is in a period of significant development, and any excessive military expansion could provoke neighboring territories. But Logan remains resolute, replying that those territories will provoke them regardless of their peaceful intentions. Patrick, puzzled, presses for clarification. Logan explains that now, with the McLain town fully operational and the wasteland transformed into fertile land, there's no way the greedy Viscounties of Sylvan and Perita will remain silent. He adds that these Viscounties already have ample excuses to act. Heinkel interrupts, stating that they have no excuses. They haven't done anything to provoke these territories. However, Dwayne suddenly shouts, cutting off Heinkel. He insists the real issue is the influx of refugees. Logan calmly urges his father to consider the unusually high number of refugees they've received recently, and to ask himself how many of them might have come from Parita or Sylvan. He suggests that if he were in their place, he would use this as the perfect excuse to act. Dwayne, now furious, shouts at Logan, demanding to know why he didn't prevent the situation if he was aware of it. Patrick, however, seems to piece it together, his expression darkening. He asks Logan directly if he was aiming to start a war from the very beginning. Logan's answer is blunt. They are enemies they will need to deal with eventually. So why wait? The room falls silent. Everyone, from Heinkel to Dwayne, is disappointed in Logan's cold pragmatism. They ask how he could even entertain such thoughts. Patrick, with his hand on his head, quietly wonders if he gave away his authority too hastily. Suddenly, Rick bursts into the room, looking for Logan. Logan turns his head, and Rick states the first part of his urgent message. Sylvan and Parita. They have sent envoys, leaving everyone in the room besides Logan puzzled. Hearing this, Logan puts on a cold gaze and says that things have already begun. He then tells everyone that they should discuss how they will handle this moving forward. Just outside the city gates, two flags flutter in the breeze, one bearing the image of a flame behind two crossed swords, and the other featuring a bird soaring above the same flame. These banners belong to the envoys of two rival viscounties, who are being escorted toward Logan's estate. As the envoys stroll through the city, they marvel at its unique beauty, commenting that they've never encountered a place quite like this before. They note how the houses are neatly arranged around a vast crossroads. While the city lacks the refined elegance of a major metropolis, it possesses a rugged freshness that is distinctly appealing. Most strikingly, the commoners appear unusually clean and cheerful for a place of this kind. Observing all this, the envoys conclude that this city is certainly worth taking over. One of the envoys attempts to strike up a conversation with a soldier, remarking on how pleasant the city is. He adds that he doesn't know who came up with the idea for its design, but calls it an impressive effort. The soldier agrees, affirming that the credit belongs entirely to the first young master. The envoy, surprised, expresses disbelief, pointing out that the first young master is barely 20 years old. He asks if the soldier truly means to say that all of this was the young master's vision. The soldier confirms with pride, praising Logan's extraordinary abilities. He explains that Logan is far more advanced than any other prince of his age, consistently prioritizing the welfare of the land and its people. While he is strict in training his soldiers, Logan is also fiercely protective of them, using his exceptional strength to shield them in times of crisis. Moreover, he has brought remarkable development to the land, earning the loyalty and admiration of all who serve him. The soldier keeps on going, telling the envoys that he will tell them an anecdote to keep them from getting bored on their way to the castle, and he starts saying something about Logan's feats in the last war, but the envoys don't even want to hear it, almost wanting to tell the soldier that he is a maniac and that he should stop. In the meeting room, the envoys have appeared before Logan and Patrick, who greet them, thanking them for coming such a long way. Logan then remarks upon the fact that the envoys seem quite exhausted, and asks them if they are all right, to which they reply that they are, and with some pale expressions on their faces, they tell Logan that he has truly splendid soldiers. However, it seems that the envoys want to get right to business, saying that they can't keep all those people in the room waiting, so they should get straight to the point. The envoys state that they demand the return of the escaped refugees, and for recurrence prevention, they demand control over the Tesseron Plains, along with the southern part of the reclaimed wasteland. That is the land adjacent to Parita, of course. Hearing this, Logan and Patrick just look down with an unimpressed look on their faces. As Logan prepares to reply, he thinks of what the envoys really mean by what they've said. Give up the entire castle and half of the developed land. They're basically asking for a war. Realizing this, Logan turns on his father, thinking how he told him this would happen, and Patrick is looking back with a sweat dripping from his cheek. Realizing Logan is right, he just nods in agreement. While Logan and Patrick mumble something on the balcony, Heinkel sees they are distracted, so he decides to take control over the situation for the time being. With an authoritarian stance and no fear in his voice, he turns to the envoys and asks if Sylvan and Parita really want to go to war with McLain right now. After saying this, everyone in the room goes mad, calling the envoys and their masters madmen, saying that they have gone crazy and telling them to get out of the palace right then. One of the envoys gets so scared that he points his finger at Logan and Patrick, telling them that they cannot intimidate envoys like this, and if they don't want war, they should have the knights retreat. Hearing this, Patrick gets furious, but keeps his composure, staring at the envoys with a cold gaze, and telling them that they are the only ones who are declaring war, and that the McLain's are not fearing war. The envoy goes even further, telling Patrick that if it gets there, the McLain's will be left with nothing but ashes, asking Patrick if he really wishes for destruction. Hearing everything that has been said, Logan gets sick to his stomach, so he intervenes, asking how refugees fleeing tyranny can be a bargaining chip. He then turns to his father, telling him that these envoys have forgotten their obligations as nobles. Therefore, there is no need to negotiate. Thus, the knights gather around the envoys, pointing their swords at them. Seeing this, the envoys are asking if Logan and Patrick are seriously intending to go to war, and if everyone in that room has a death wish. Logan, stepping down the stairs, tells the envoys that this is really all-out war. He then tells the envoys that they've got some nerve, coming into his castle, calling everyone crazy. He stands before them, asking how they dare point fingers and use foul language against the ruler of this land. He pulls his sword out, telling them that they are the ones who seem out of their mind. The envoy wants to call Logan out of his mind, but he doesn't get to finish his sentence. Seeing that Logan approaches, he tells the guards to stop him, so they rush to attack Logan. With murderous intent in his eyes, Logan prepares his sword, raising it above his head. In one swift motion, he strikes one of the guards. Blood splatters from his mouth, and it seems it's over for him. He is now dead on the ground, with his face towards his former comrades. Logan then uses his formidable speed and kills all the remaining 5 soldiers in just seconds. He menacingly approaches the envoys, telling them that if they intend to draw their swords on another's land, they should be prepared to die as well. One of the envoys, scared shitless, tells Logan no tot come any closer. As Logan continues his approach, the envoy asks Logan if he thinks McLain will be safe after touching him, as he is an envoy of the Viscount. However, Logan couldn't care less about it, so he just swings his sword, killing the man instantly. Seeing this, the other envoy drops to his knees, telling Logan that he will serve McLain's will, and that he will convey each and everything to his lord. He then asks Logan to forgive his rudeness, which Logan calls a wise decision, as the envoy keeps his head down, trembling in fear. Logan then turns to his father, nodding in agreement. His father returns the gesture, nodding back, after which he tells the knights to get ready for war, and everyone starts cheering, prepared to fight and die for the McLains. Next, it appears that on the very day they killed the Sylvan envoy, the McLains also sent a magical transmission to the 2 Viscounts. Hearing about what happened, Viscount Soto Sylvan is furious, hitting the table with his fist, asking if everyone in the McLain has really gone mad. The vassal of Sylvan informs his master that the McLains have also demanded compensation for the envoy's insolence, and asks Sylvan what they should do. Sylvan, stirring a glass of wine, mocks their demands, asking if just because those beggars got a little better off, they are fearlessly going to act up now. Viscount Sylvan goes on and says that the McLains don't have the force to fight them anyway, so they will show mercy one more time. Inside the Tesron barracks, Logan and Patrick are looking down on a magical transmission globe, summing up the Sylvan demands, returning the runaway serfs, paying a compensation of 10 million gold and handing over the Tesron plains. It seems that this is their reply after 2 days, and after everyone ran to Tesron as soon as they've sent the message. Patrick asks Logan if there even was a reason for rushing so much, since even though Parita and Sylvan might not be aware of it, the McLains do possess the forces of easily crushing a single Viscounty. Logan tells his father that they have to occupy Sylvan as quickly as possible, as the more overwhelming force they show, the less of these petty taunts they'll have to see in the future. Also, there's no need to mobilize the conscripted soldiers. If they quickly occupy the Sylvan castle with just their regular troops, Parita won't dare make a rash move. Hearing this, Patrick says that the key is how quickly they can capture Sylvan, and Logan tells him that he is correct. As they talk, a knock on the door interrupts them, which seems to be coming from Kai Salon, who states his presence, wanting to talk to Logan, which Logan indulges. Kai Salon enters the room, excusing himself, and taking a respectful stance before Patrick and Logan. He then informs Logan that the counting is done, and he has 1,389 regular soldiers, excluding the 100 stationed at the McLain's main stronghold, and 313 mercenaries, all standing by for Logan's orders. Logan tells Kai Salon that he has done an amazing job, and then asks him what is the status of the soldiers' armaments, to which Kai Salon replies by telling Logan that armor, spears, crossbows, and cavalry have all been supplied, and that he is confident they won't be outmatched by any force. Logan turns his head slightly towards his father and starts to think. He has 5 times the crossbowmen compared to the war with Tesron, and his father and the knight's levels have improved by mastering the iron bloodsword. He thinks to himself that they will not lose to Sylvan and Parita even if they attack together, but they mustn't engage both of them right now. If they merge both those territories, his family will give 5 fortresses. That will give them territory comparable to the Margrave. If that happens, both the first and second princes, vying for the throne, will become desperate to draw McLain into their ranks, so he mustn't attract the attention of those factions now. That is because the person he intends to make king is the third prince. The fourth prince became king in his previous life, but threw away the McLain after using it, with his purges during his reign also significantly weakening the kingdom's power. The second prince isn't much different either. Therefore, the only reasonable choice left is the third prince. Despite being the third prince, he's the son of the current queen. Even though young, the king considered him for succession of the crown due to his outstanding talent. Unfortunately for him, he was a prince of misfortune, ousted before he could establish himself because of the king's sudden death. Right now, he is the only one who can avoid the tragedy he saw in his past life. Knowing all this, he will win the civil war and make the third prince king. And in order to do that, he has to remain unnoticeable, maintaining just enough territory to keep 3 fortresses, similar to a large viscounty. However, it seems there might be something else standing before Logan's plans. Logan leaves the matter away for now and asks Kaisalon if he has some good news, since he is so cheerful and smiley, to which Kaisalon replies that he indeed has. Victor has awakened his force, and he's been waiting to report it directly to Logan. Hearing this, Logan is extremely happy and excited, and tells Kaisalon to bring him in at once. As Victor steps into the room, he excuses himself. With blushing cheeks and the repercussions of training still showing on his clothes, he wants to tell Logan about what happened. Logan, however, is too excited to wait, so he tells Victor that there is no need for a long explanation, and that Victor should just show him instead. And Victor agrees. Victor stares down, concentrating, and what seems to be gray smoke appears around him. Suddenly, his force shows at full power, and it seems magnificent. However, when they see it, Logan and Patrick remain astounded, as they've never seen a gray aura before. Logan is happy to see it whatsoever, saying that in 2 years, Victor has done something that others need decades to do. It seems his talent as an aura user is just the same as in his past life. He tells Victor that he has done a great job, which lights up his face. Logan then gives Victor his slave document, telling him that he will become a knight now, so he won't be needing that anymore. Victor asks Logan if he has been carrying that around all the time, and Logan tells him that he had a feeling Victor was going to awaken soon, so he kept it with him just in case. Logan then tells Victor that, however, his promotion to a knight will be postponed until after the war, which seems to strike Victor unpleasantly. Victor asks Logan why, and Logan tells him that he cannot have someone that just escaped his slave status clashing with other knights. He then tells Victor that he will burn his slave document immediately, so he just has to be patient a little longer. Logan then asks Victor if he doesn't trust him, and Victor shouts that this is absolutely not the case. He wants to tell Logan something, but it seems that Logan has already anticipated it. This is not what Victor is upset about. As he burns the document, Logan thinks that Victor just wants to fight right now. He wants to clash swords with powerful opponents. Logan then thinks that he has already prepared an opponent for Victor to face, and that he'll let him fight to his heart's content when the time comes, and that opponent seems to be Runyon. After burning the document, Logan dismisses Victor's situation and tells his father that they should send a reply to Sylvan, and Patrick asks him what he plans to say. Logan says that he will question their legitimacy for protest and state that their envoy's behavior was extremely rude. However, Patrick thinks this is not the proper way to handle it. Instead, he tells Logan to skip the formalities and get to the real point. Hearing his father say this, Logan smiles in approval. It seems that Logan cut right to the crap, and he prompted the soldiers to move towards the Viscounty. In front of the Sylvan Viscounty, Logan's banners stay tall, and he shouts for Soto Sylvan to come and face his sword. The soldiers on the wall shout for someone to inform the Lord that someone with a burning banner has come to occupy the castle. At once, Soto Sylvan comes to see what the fuss is about, recognizing McLain's banner and asking if these lunatics dare mock him. Sylvan's captain asks Soto Sylvan for permission to lead the charge, stating that he will stop Patrick McLain and that all 120 knights of the Sylvan Order are ready. The captain tells Soto Sylvan that the 2,512 soldiers have also been on standby ever since they heard of McLain's outrageous demands. Hearing this, Soto Sylvan feels relieved, as even though the head count of McLain's forces is higher than he taught, they still have the advantage. Besides that, the captain of the Sylvan Knights Order, Callian, has also become a high-ranking knight, so Patrick McLain isn't the only high-ranking knight in the region anymore. Sylvan stays quiet for a couple of seconds, then asks his knights if they have any information from Parita. One knight informs him that they're silent, and it looks like they're still negotiating internally, to which Callian replies by saying that even if Parita sends reinforcements, it'll take half a day, and that there's no need to wait. However, this is not what Sylvan is afraid of. He thinks about what happens if they take down McLain, and then Parita betrays them. Sylvan then turns his head around, asking his advisors if they don't find it strange how a declaration of war has been stated right after sending a message of protest, with the McLains rushing in as if they were waiting for it, and Parita remaining silent. Something doesn't add up. Sylvan asks Callian if he thinks this is normal, and Callian replies that it's probably not. Soto Sylvan concludes that McLain and Parita have joined hands against him, as otherwise, none of this makes sense. Just as Sylvan thinks they are trash, and trembles in fury, someone screams from behind him. They ask if Sylvan is scared, which catches his attention. This was Patrick, it seems, mocking Sylvan, telling him to keep hiding in his castle like the fox he is, and informing him that he will personally cut off his head. Hearing this, Sylvan is even more annoyed, so he makes a decision. He turns to Callian and orders him to contact the barony of Bifrost and tell them that after they take down McLain, they will offer them tribute worth half of its value. Callian doesn't understand why he should do this, and Soto Sylvan screams that he tells him to do whatever it takes to keep Paretta and those scums from making a move and destroy the McLains completely, and that it must be done before Paretta's reinforcements arrive, so the captain confirms the orders. Sylvan is mad with fury, asking himself how Paretta dares betray him, saying that after he takes down McLain, Max Paretta will be the one to follow. In front of the castle, Heinkel, Logan, and Patrick are discussing their strategy, with Heinkel asking if it wouldn't be better to provide covering fire first before charging into the castle. Patrick tells him that they can't do that yet, since they can't afford Viscount Sylvan escaping, and Logan nods, telling Heinkel his father is right. Logan states that Sylvan thinks their forces are superior, so they'll come out soon. He says that he knows Soto Sylvan, and he cannot stand being insulted, so they should wait a bit longer. Hearing this, Heinkel gets suspicious, asking himself how could Logan know Soto Sylvan, since he has stayed in McLain all his life. Next, the gates of the Sylvan Viscounty open. The Knights of Sylvan rush on horses towards the battlefield, and they establish a front line before the gate. Patrick quickly assesses the situation and says that Sylvan has 3,000 regular troops, with Heinkel intervening, saying that is 1.5 times more than the McLains have. In front of the Sylvan troops is Callian. He tries to say something about the McLains, calling them shameless. However, Patrick doesn't seem to be in the mood for listening, as in the same instant he prompts his soldiers to move forward. Seeing this, Callian calls them insolent, asking himself if Patrick can even count. Besides that, he takes a look at Patrick's soldiers, saying they're all just a bunch of ragtag soldiers with decent armor, all new though. So the McLains must have made a lot of money. Callian thinks that they have the knights leading and cavalry supporting them, with all of them being in standard formation, and the fact that it's standard means it's proven to be effective. Seeing the insolence the McLains show towards them, Callian says he will show them to their place. As the soldiers and cavalry move forward, Kai Solon gives the mercenaries the order to lift their crossbows. They listen and prepare to strike. Seeing this, Callian asks himself what the hell is Patrick thinking, even going as far to say that he is disappointed and telling his soldiers to raise their shields as the McLains are preparing to shoot arrows. Kai Solon gives the order to the soldiers to fire their crossbows. They comply, and arrows start raining above the Sylvan soldiers, who have now raised their shields. Callian smiles behind his shield, thinking there is no way these arrows will have any effect. That changes though when the tip of the arrow makes contact, as it seems to pierce through the shield. And not just pierce, but actually go right through their shield. Callian charges his force, realizing something is wrong. He turns his head to the soldiers, telling them to gather and maximize their force, as this is no ordinary attack. He instructs them to protect their bodies with force and charge forward. Callian is furious, asking himself how could crossbows be so powerful, as even knights would be dead if they'd react a little too late. They get into formation, prepared to go forward, thinking that the McLains have been hiding something so powerful for so long. He gets more and more furious, shouting that he will kill every single one of them as they charge forward with force. Seeing this, Kai Solon gives the order for everyone to spread out. This confuses Callian, as he doesn't understand what is happening. The crossbow cavalry divides, going on each side of the unit controlled by Callian. As they move away, Kai Solon shouts for the cavalry to ignore the enemy knights and instead target the soldiers. Seeing this, Callian gets scared, calling the McLains bastards. Callian thinks that they should maybe take that change and retreat, but it seems it's already too late for that, as Patrick wants to tell them something. Callian turns his head in disbelief, not sure of what he sees. It seems that Patrick has charged his force blade and tells the Knights of Sylvan to face him if they dare. When Callian realizes what happens, he remains stunned by what Patrick can wield. Just as Patrick is prepared to strike, Callian realizes the danger he is in. He jumps away from his force just in time to avoid Patrick's attack, an attack so brutal that he has managed to down 4 knights in one go. Only now Callian realizes what he is really against. Patrick has reached the advanced rank, He even goes as far as to ask Patrick when he managed to reach advanced rank. Just after breaking their ranks, Patrick gives the order for the brave soldiers of McLain to annihilate the enemy, and the McLain knights start charging forward. The McLain soldiers clench swords with the Sylvan ones, and they clearly have the advantage, as you can see the desperation and struggle on the enemy's faces. Callion looks around, trembling, asking himself how could that happen. The McLain soldiers are slaying the Sylvan enemy left and right, with no intent of leaving anyone alive. On the battlefield, even Heinkel acknowledges that just a couple of months ago, the Knights of Sylvan were at the same level as them. But that has clearly changed. They are overwhelming them in every aspect. Moreover, some of the McLain Knights are advancing to the next level right then and there on the battlefield. Seeing this, Heinkel puts on a smirk, happy to see his knights becoming more and more powerful. He then takes a look at Logan and Patrick, and says that their lord's training wasn't in vain after all. Just as Heinkel thinks of all of this, he has his sword clenched with a knight from the Sylvan army, and it seems that some more are coming to his help, asking Heinkel how long he will be able to laugh after this. They don't anticipate Heinkel's brute force though, and it seems that he has managed to disarm 2 of them in an instant. Looking down at their hands, the knights realize that the captain is also a high-ranking knight like Callion, but he is not as fast. However, Heinkel doesn't care, and thinks that with learning the Iron Blood Sword, he overcame the wall he was stuck behind for a long time to become a high-ranking knight, and that intermediate-rank knights are no problem for him now. Right now, the only real threat to them is that one high-ranking knight, Callion. Heinkel smirks and says that there is no need to worry. Logan then charges towards Callion as fast as he can. Seeing this, Callion realizes he is in trouble. The fear on his face gives away the fact that he is surely weaker than Logan. Next, an image from the past appears, with Logan thinking about his training. Having completed the second style of the Divine Sword Secrets, he had progressed almost to the level of a high-ranking knight, but the wall he had assumed would be easy to overcome had remained impenetrable for the last few months, and a period of anxiousness, where he felt like he could glimpse beyond it. He thinks that if it's a high-ranking knight from another fief, he hasn't learned the iron sword like his father or Heinkel that he fights. Maybe he could be able to surpass that wall. Seeing Logan come towards him, Callion realizes he is in a pickle. Logan and Callion clench swords, and it looks like Callion might be overpowered by Logan. Every single attack that follows seems to favor Logan, with Callion stepping back each time. Seeing this, Callion calls Logan a numbskull, thinking that every time he attacks, he does so by clashing with brute power. No technique whatsoever, just brute force. With his next attack, Callion was even pushed back by Logan. Seeing this, he gets furious, and Logan stands before him, prepared to attack once again. Standing before Logan, Cannell says that he has let his guard down, but that won't happen again. He tells Logan that he won't go easy on him anymore, calling him a brat, but Logan simply thinks this is bullshit. However, the look on his face changes, realizing this might not be the case. It appears that Callion has his own aces under the sleeve, as out of nowhere, 2 aura swords appear at his sides, floating, and Callion seems much more prepared for a fight now. He engages Logan with full force, prepared to strike him down. Logan looks composed, and awaits his attack, thinking the other 2 swords might be fake, and regardless of the number, the only sword he should be watching for is the one in Callion's hand. On second thought though, he thinks that might be too obvious for a high-ranking knight. Callion strikes, with full force and a killer look on his face. Fortunately, Logan manages to move his head and dodge most of the attack. It seems that Callion has only managed to cut his ear, and Logan realizes that all of the blades must be real. Preparing to strike again, Callion turns towards Logan and tells him that he is lucky he aimed for his neck. Otherwise, he would have been dead already. Logan turns towards his enemy and applauds his stunt, acknowledging how he didn't think all of those swords were real. Right after, Callion tells Logan to enjoy the show while it lasts, and jumps to attack him once again. It appears that Callion has conjured yet another sword, but Logan doesn't seem bothered. Callion notices that, and wonders what Logan might be thinking. Logan thinks that he has some tricks up his sleeves too, and suddenly Callion seems to be at a disadvantage. He realizes this has something to do with Logan's strange aura. The closer he gets, his swords seem to be failing, like they are entangled in Logan's aura. Realizing this, Callion releases his own aura to counter Logan and tells him not to fuck around. Seeing this, Logan is intrigued, boasting Callion for creating more swords even under the influence of the Force Blade. Callion, however, isn't in the mood for talking, and tries to slash Logan down once again. He thinks that he has the advantage, as Logan's aura has faltered. And this might be true, as Logan has gone into a defensive stance, trying to dodge Callion's attacks. He even says that he feels like he is fighting with 5 men at once. Logan thinks that he must calm down, as he only needs to restrain 1 or 2 of his aura blades with his own Force Blade. This way he can create a gap in Callion's defense. Even if he takes a few steps back, He only needs to take it slow. Logan tried to infuriate Callian even further, asking if this is all he can do, calling him so weak that it bores him. Callian, definitely annoyed, prepares to attack Logan once again. With full force, he raises his sword above his head, prepared to strike Logan down for good, shouting for him to die. Suddenly, Logan's heart seems to be surrounded by aura as well. Logan stares at the aura blade coming towards him. He looks death in the eyes and prepares for the worst. He closes his eyes, and the blade is just millimeters away from his face. However, his core seems to change, becoming a 2-star core. In an instant, he dodges Callian's attack and gets behind him. And not just that, but it seems the battle has turned around once again into Logan's favor. He even managed to injure Callian quite badly. Callian realizes that something has changed, but he cannot tell what. The only thing he can be sure of is that in that instant, Logan's speed far exceeded his. He thinks that the worst that could happen actually did happen. Logan tells Callian that he must give him a present for becoming his experience, which scares the shit out of Callian. Logan raises his sword, pointing it to the sky, and charges his aura. Seeing this, Callian realizes what happened. Logan has become a high-ranking knight. Logan uses his sheer force and leaps high into the air. He's prepared to strike Callian down for good with his next attack. As Callian looks in disbelief, Logan thanks him for playing, telling him it's been a pleasure. Logan decides that he will take down Callian as flashy as possible, to raise the morale of their troops, and at the same time, to make his enemies despair. Logan charges his aura and prepares one of his secret techniques, the Divine Sword Secret's first style, the Rippling Divine, releasing a huge wave of aura. Callian tries to block the attack, but it seems to be pointless. Logan has far surpassed Callian and brought him to his knees for good. Seeing this, the Sylvan soldiers realize the battle is basically over. Logan raised tall, holding his sword with both hands, looking majestic. He gets up from the rubble and shouts for everyone to hear. He has slain the enemy leader. Seconds later, another voice shouts from the walls of the barony, saying that they've captured Soto Sylvan. This is Patrick's voice, who tells everyone that they will show mercy to those that throw their weapons and kneel, telling everyone to surrender. Looking at his father, Logan smiles, asking himself, when did Patrick even get up there? After the war, it seems that the Sylvan fief has lost 42 knights, 1,223 soldiers, Soto Sylvan and Callian. On the other hand, it seems like the McLain's have only lost 5 knights and no soldiers at all. The battle that began in a day took only a few hours, before ending with the overwhelming victory of the McLain's. A victory which is bound to start another war. Somewhere else, a man is informed that Sylvan lost to McLain by one of his vassals. The vassal, even though he thinks he might be overstepping, tells his superior that he believes it might be time for him to make a move. This man is the Lord of the Southwest region. Back at the Sylvan Viscounty, Soto Sylvan is kneeling before Patrick, which tells him that he is giving him one last chance. He must apologize for his sins, take the minimum of his belongings, and leave this land along with his kin. Soto Sylvan, looking up in fear, tells Patrick that this sort of courageous overtake of control will not be tolerated by the royals. He goes on to say that it will be impermissible by the Lord of the Southwest, Count Bifrost, which seems to upset Patrick deeply. Logan, behind Patrick, hearing what Sylvan just said, thinks that this is the worst thing he could have said to Patrick. The fall of the McLain's can be attributed to the mismanagement of the Count at the time, but the one who caused a rebellion to profit off the chaos was Bifrost, one of McLain's vassals. McLain's former bountiful lands became the Bifrost Plains, and it naturally made Bifrost the Lord of the Southwest region. Logan thinks that thanks to the royal intervention, Bifrost didn't get the authority to order the McLain house to serve under him, nor would he have gained much from doing so anyway. But hearing that name is enough to ruin Patrick's mood whenever. Therefore next, Patrick asks Sylvan if he wishes to die without taking the opportunity he's just been offered. With a tear in his eye, Soto wants to say something, but he doesn't get to finish the sentence. Logan slashes his throat and leaves him to bleed. With his sword full of Sylvan's blood, he turns to his father, prepared to hear anything he might have to say. Logan tells Patrick that he respected his wishes for an honorable death and finished him off painlessly. Patrick nods with a smile on his face and tells Logan that he's done a good job. Seeing what just happened, Logan thinks that they've at least tried to give him a choice, so hopefully other nobles won't use this as a means to attack them, especially Bifrost, as they need to be careful, since he is an enemy they cannot handle just yet. A few weeks later, at the Sylvan Castle, Patrick and Logan are talking in what seems to be Soto Sylvan's old study. Logan tells Patrick that they are keeping watch, yet it seems that Parita hasn't made any moves yet, and Patrick asks if there are any reasons for him to do so. Logan asks what would happen if Parita decides to attack the Tesseron Castle, but Patrick dismisses it, saying that Clayton is there, so he should be able to hold them off, even if something happens. While Logan replies to his father that he is right, He also thinks that brute force wasn't the only thing that caused their victory against Sylvan. Instead, they've won because Viscount Sylvan underestimated them, while the McLains have brought as much force as they could. That is with one trump card they've left behind, which they keep hidden at the Tesron Castle. Clayton and his rock golems. However, he realizes that managing 3 castles like this won't work, so they need to make things more efficient. Logan asks his father about shifting the center of their land. He thinks that if they set towns as the center, it will make it easier to manage all 3 castles. 2 of the vassals present at the meeting also think that Logan is right, since they've cut down the monster woods, leaving the minimum amount of forces in McLain's won't be an issue. They should keep the knights stationed in the towns of McLain and leave them ready to be able to march to Tesron or Sylvan on command. Hearing this, Patrick also agrees that it would be a good idea. Logan is also happy, saying that now he won't have to take care of the things himself. Patrick then asks Logan how many knights they've captured, and Logan says that they've captured 75 knights, which are all imprisoned in the cells, 8 of which are intermediate knights. Logan asks his father if he could maybe try and pressure them to serve under the McLains, as no man would have sworn absolute loyalty to Soto Sylvan, so it shouldn't be a problem. Logan even goes as far as thinking that a single battle brought them so many knights. It might be more efficient than picking out young talents. However, he also thinks about the other side of the story, how if Sylvan had moved even a little more cautiously, they would have had quite more casualties, and they'd only have been able to capture a quarter of the knights. He thinks that this is most likely not going to happen again in the future, so they shouldn't dwell on this victory, and that he should warn his father to remain vigilant. Patrick, however, is happy, telling Logan that with this forces, even Parada doesn't seem fearsome, saying that it's all thanks to Logan, and smiling like the proudest father in the entire world. Seeing his father's reaction, Logan blushes and stays quiet. He turns around and says that he should let him enjoy it at least for today. Unfortunately, their happiness is about to be over, since a vassal comes in with news from no other than Bifrost, which leaves both Logan and Patrick stunned. The vassal looks at the piece of paper and informs everyone that he will read it aloud. Bifrost writes that, as the Lord of the Southwest, he expresses deep discomfort with the yearly wars by McLain, and just as he hears Bifrost calling himself Lord of the Southwest, Patrick almost has a crisis. The vassal continues to read the following. With a request from Viscount Sylvan, Parida and McLain must cease their conflict immediately. With every word that is read, Patrick seems to become even more and more mad, saying that they've started it, and now are asking for intervention, calling Sylvan shameless. But Logan thinks they should finish listening to what is said in the letter. Bifrost acknowledges in the following sentences that the reason for this constant conflict is the fact that he hasn't properly performed the duties of a lord, and hasn't properly pushed for the coexistence within the region. Therefore he, Roger Bifrost, on his 50th birthday next month, invites the heirs of each family of the Southwest to come discuss the future goals for the region as a whole. And hearing this, Patrick's composure breaks, calling everything Bifrost wrote bullshit. His scream is so loud that it breaks the clothes on the vassal reading the letter. Patrick goes on to say that there will be no heir going to discuss any goals, as the McLains do not serve under him. Finally, Bifrost says that not participating will signal an inability to discuss together, which Patrick interprets as a seemingly polite way of making a threat. Patrick says that no matter what, the McLains will not bow to threats, but Logan goes against his father this time, and says that the invitation sounds interesting. Hearing this, Patrick asks Logan what he means by that, to which Logan replies that it might be good to visit. Patrick looks at Logan with a face I've never seen before. He seems prepared to disown him or something. He then says that he respects his son's will. However, he starts screaming again, this time even tearing the last piece of paper covering the vassal. No matter what happens, they can't let themselves kneel to Bifrost, as he won't allow for that to happen if he dies. Hearing this, Logan takes a plant from somewhere and asks his father if he wants a burial now, but one knight stops him, saying there won't be any patricide now. Patrick then calms down and huffs. He tells Logan that he will hear him out, and asks him what he's thinking, while the knight behind is happy there's no murdering. Logan tells Patrick that no matter what they do, there is no way they can beat Bifrost now, which Patrick acknowledges as true. Patrick states that they have around 2 advanced knights, 15 high-ranking knights, and a total over 300 knights, that being just part of their revealed forces. Logan tells his father that is correct, and even though things may seem to be going well for them now, they are crossing a fine line, since now that they've overtaken Tesrin and Sylvan, Bifrost is watching closely. If they try to flaunt themselves when they are next to them, they might end up trampled. They also need time to unite the Knights of Sylvan and have Parida serve under them, time to reorganize the forces. Logan thinks that he also needs time to properly learn the Divine Sword Secret's 3rd style, and time for the other knights to train. Patrick understands all this, but he says the Southwest is different from other regions, because unlike the lords of other regions, Bifrost cannot demand the allegiance of other nobles of the region. He says that the reason for which he can't is complex, but true. If he attempts to exercise his right as a lord, other nobles will undoubtedly express discontent. However, Logan says that this is not true, because when he went to the capital, Percival and Roofman to the north of Bifrost have done something unexpected. They had long sworn loyalty to Bifrost, information which leaves Patrick in shock. Logan thinks that he in fact saw this in his previous life, but Patrick doesn't know about the information he has received. He looks down in disbelief, sweating. He then tells Logan that he has to face shame because their family lacks power, and says he is sorry. Yet Logan is smiling, unbothered about this, happy that he has got permission to go. Logan tells his father that he shouldn't be worried, since he knows the skills Logan has, so there shouldn't be any issue. He tells Patrick that they should see this as a chance to see how the lands of their ancestors have changed. Next morning, as Logan gets back into the McLain town, a voice calls him from behind. This is Hamar, asking Logan if the rumors he has heard are true, that he's being sold off to the enemies. Logan, however, doesn't know anything about these rumors, and asks Hanar what he's talking about. Hamar wants to say something about Logan's death, and hearing this, Logan interprets it as Hamar thinking they are close enough to be worried for each other. But actually, Hamar just wants to know what will happen to him and the promise Logan has made towards him, and asks him if he'll ensure it's kept. Realizing what really happened, Logan punches Hamar's face in, and tells him that he is not going to die or be sold off, and that he should learn to ignore stupid rumors like that. To this, Hamar replies that most of the rumors about him are true, so it's not his fault, and Logan doesn't know what to say anymore. Hamar then takes off the thing he has been carrying around on his back, and tells Logan to take it with him wherever he goes. He unwraps it, and tells Logan that he didn't have time to decorate it properly, but it's a gift for him, and also that he assures him of its quality. It appears that Hamar has made Logan a sword of pure mithril, leaving Logan astounded. At the Bifrost estate, a guard informs a man in a carriage that they've arrived at their destination. He is telling the young man in the carriage that they've been told to wait there until someone comes to receive the men. This man is Plone Pareda, the heir of the Pareda estate. As he stands in the carriage, Plone notices something strange. He sees a man in armor, traveling alone, with a cloak covering his appearance. However, he realizes that this is Logan McLain. Seeing this, he thinks of how he cannot believe that the McLains have managed to occupy the Sylvan barony, and wonders why he came all alone, with no guards. He then concludes that they must have taken quite a bit of losses in the war with the Sylvans, and that must be the reason for which he is all alone. Looking at Logan, he even thinks that if it weren't for Bifrost, they, the barony of Paredes, would have easily taken their heads. Trying to start a conflict, Plone gets down from his carriage and asks why he gets the same treatment as someone that looks like he is a nobody. A guard tries to intervene, trying to quiet Plone up, but he doesn't care, saying it's not like Logan is going to hear him. He says that if it weren't for the Count, then they'd be on their knees, begging for him to save their lives. Plone goes to Logan, introducing himself, stating that he is Plone Pareda, and saying that he has heard everything about him from Rehalt, especially how Logan managed to kill 6 knights in an instant. Plone then looks down and notices something strange. Logan is wearing armor under his clothes, but the hilt of his sword is clean. Logan greets him, shaking hands and stating his name, and Plone thinks that maybe what he has heard might be just rumors. Trying to shame him, Plone tightens his grip and says that he looks much younger than he imagined, and that he is starting to think that what he has heard are just exaggerated rumors. Hearing this, Logan looks down without saying anything, and an instant later, he let out a smirk. He clenches Plone's hand so hard he almost breaks it. That is when Plone realizes that Logan is actually much stronger than he thought. They release each other's hands, and Logan apologizes, with Plone's hand trembling and looking like it was just crushed by a rock. Logan says that he misunderstood Plone's intentions, and that he thought Plone was trying to initiate a contest of strength. Hearing this, Plone tries not to cry and calls Logan an asshole. He then goes to take his sword out, calling Logan an insolent bastard. Standing before Logan with his sword pointing at him, Plone tells Logan that he will teach him the despicable McLain family a lesson on manners. The guard behind Logan tries to tell him that personal fights are forbidden in the Bifrost territory, yet Logan just takes down his cloak and tells Plone that he keeps spouting out bullshit he can't take responsibility for. He then tells Plone that since he is an heir of a territory, he should know his place and not start fights like a little entitled kid. Hearing this, Plone gets mad, prepared to attack Logan. He then gives the order to his knights to attack Logan, telling Logan he shouldn't dare insult him like this. Seeing this, Logan prepares himself. He charges his aura and navigates through each of Plone's guards in an instant, ending up behind them without a scratch. It appears that he has managed to break all their swords with his bare hands. Logan is holding his sword to Plone's neck, while Plone thinks that he didn't feel any force coming from Logan, which means that he has managed to do that with just the power of his sword. Looking at Logan's sword, Plone thinks that he didn't feel any magic power either, so that means Logan isn't using a magic artifact either. The guard stationed at the Bifrost gate tells Logan that he has an incredible sword, and if he is not too rude, he wishes to ask where he bought it, yet Logan tells him that this is indeed rude. Hearing the conversation, Plone thinks that Logan is just lucky, and that he has found a good sword somewhere. From the Bifrost gate, a man in full armor steps out, and the guards seem to be on alert seeing this. Logan and Plone also look back, realizing this must be someone of importance. It appears that this is Sir Franz, the Knight of Moonlight. Seeing this, everyone is stunned. As the upper advanced knight, Sir Franz has come to receive someone in person, something that was unheard of before. Looking at him, Logan realizes that he is one of the 2 upper advanced knights of the Bifrost. With silver hair and eyes, Sir Franz definitely stands out. Seeing that Bifrost has sent an upper advanced knight to receive them, it could only mean 2 things. Either Bifrost really cares what they think about him, or something else. In the next second, Plone introduces himself to Sir Franz, and Sir Franz acknowledges his presence, telling him that it's nice meeting him. Sir Franz, looking down on Logan, says that since he is Parita, he must be McLain. Seeing this, Logan wonders if he might want to put pressure on them. Composed, Logan introduces himself, and Sir Franz says that this makes things clear now, and says that he is surprised. He asks Logan if he is an intermediate knight at such a young age, which stuns Plone and his knights. Hearing this, Plone realizes that this must be the reason for which Logan was so strong, and not just his good sword. However, Logan thinks that what he wanted to do worked. Starting from a high-ranking knight, there's a unique sharp energy about them, which can't be hidden, and can only be detected by knights of the same rank or higher. But as he reached the level of a high-ranking knight, and achieved a 3-star core, he is able to control the faint energy that he has. He thinks that it's better to show only this amount of strength for the current Bifrost, to lower their wariness, this also being the reason for which Logan didn't bring any guards. Logan places his hand on his chest as a sign of respect, and tells Sir Franz that he is working hard in order to someday become someone as powerful as he is. Hearing this, Sir Franz tells him that he should not be satisfied with becoming just like him, but with his talent, Logan should aim to become a superhuman at least. In any case, Sir Franz tells Logan that it's nice meeting him, and that he will bring them into the castle now. He then turns around and tells Plone and Logan that this is the VIP building of Bifrost. He says that the heirs of Percival and Ruffman have already arrived, so he asks them to wait there and rest until tomorrow night's party, to which Plone and Logan agree. After Sir Franz leaves, Plone once again tries to mock Logan, saying that there is no way someone who came without any servants would have clothes for a party, and asks him if Logan wants to borrow some pajamas from him. Logan, however, doesn't mind Plone, and just asks a servant where his room is, and the servant tells him that he will show him. Seeing what just happened, Logan thinks that he already guessed it when he led his knights to fight despite being warned not to, but Plone really doesn't understand his situation, and if that's the level of Parita's heir and knights, then occupying them won't be difficult. While this is happening, Plone is just getting angrier and angrier. Logan looks up at the building and thinks back to what Plone said about the party clothes, thinking that he doesn't intend to take off his armor in this place anyway. He looks up and thinks that this is the land his ancestors lost. Therefore, he must not let his guard down, since he doesn't know what could happen. Next, Logan is staying before Lord Bifrost, which tells Logan to unsheath his sword immediately. Logan, once again placing his head on his chest, lets his head down and tells Bifrost that he, son of McLain, is honored to greet the ruler of these lands and wishes Bifrost a happy birthday. The people looking around find the way Logan came to the party stupid, asking if that country bumpkin doesn't know any manners. Looking at Roger Bifrost, Logan thought that since he is a potential enemy, he might have had to fight a few days before he arrived at the castle. However, he looked around the nearby castles and towns, and he expected it to be as discontent as Sylvan or Tesron, but that was not the case. The people are actually quite friendly, with people saying that Bifrost is a good man, and that taxes are low. That can only mean that they are sufficient to the point where they don't need to extort their people. Bifrost also welcomes Logan, and tells him that since he came here, he assumes that the McLains intend to follow his wishes. Logan tells him that if Bifrost's wishes are for peace, McLain will always be ready to lead the march. Hearing this, Bifrost tells Logan that he has expected more resistance, but a young man like him is really enlightened. Bifrost then tells Logan to enjoy the party, and Logan says he will do as told. However, Logan isn't concerned with the party. Instead, he realizes Bifrost is also pretty amazing, as is a 5th Circle mage. There's a rumor from Logan's previous life that Count Bifrost showed incredible martial prowess in battle. Bifrost was on the side of the second prince who lost, so Logan didn't pay much attention. But the fact that he's in the 5th circle is true. A 5th circle mage is treated as the same level of power as an advanced knight, especially in war. When that power extends far beyond individual battle, it's considered even more formidable. Logan thinks that he also has 2 advanced knights, but his thought is interrupted by someone announcing that Count Bifrost wants to give a speech. Bifrost starts by saying that he first must thank all of them that came there and gathered for his birthday, the birthday of a still insufficient man like himself, also to a man that hasn't come himself to the party, but has also thanked him, the second prince, for bestowing him with the Tear of the Sun. Hearing this, people can't believe Bifrost is talking about the prince himself, as they knew Bifrost was trusted, but to be that close is stunning. Bifrost goes on to say that for a long time, the nobles of the Southwest have spent their time scattered, unlike the other regions. And hearing this, Logan thinks that he might be saying the same thing as in his message. Bifrost raises his hand and says that it's time to put their meaningless traditions and customs behind them and bound together as one, as their highness, the second prince, the most likely to succeed the throne, wishes for the support of the region. Longa, sipping from a glass of wine, thinks this is just a fancy way to say shut up and come under the second prince and himself. Bifrost goes on to say that, coincidentally, they have start and the end of the Southwest from 200 years ago, with them today, the heir of the McLain's, which leaves Logan stunned. Bifrost says that Logan is a great young man, and the highlight that led the McLain's to victory in 2 recent wars, and a genius who has become an intermediate knight at the age of only 21. Bifrost saying that even the advanced knights he knows have failed to reach such prowess, making Logan wonder what Bifrost tries to do by complimenting him. He goes on to throw forward his hand, and says that he does not intend to force or bind such a talented man, but merely wishes to make him an offer. He addresses Logan, and Logan answers, listening to what Bifrost has to say. Bifrost tells Logan that Count Valtermine, the grandfather of the second prince, is searching for talented men like him, and is okay with it. Bifrost would like to recommend him to Valtemir, in order for Logan to become his student. Hearing this, Logan has no idea what to reply. Logan goes on to reply that he is honored by the offer, but he already has a teacher that he has devoted himself to. Bifrost asks if he is referring to Patrick McLain, his father. Logan tells Bifrost that it is not, and that he was fortunate to be able to receive training from a great man, so he is sorry, but he has to refuse. Bifrost tells Logan that the young truly do things quickly, yet the Blazing Heat Sword himself will be visiting soon, so he asks Logan to receive just a little teaching from him. He tells Logan that he intended to provide this offer to all the heirs that serve under him present today, and not just him, and that Logan can even call that teacher of his. Hearing this, Logan doesn't seem to care about the teaching anymore. Instead, he thinks that Bifrost has sneakily phrased it as if it was official that the McLains serve under him. Therefore, he wants to rope in the McLains in whatever way, that being his ultimate goal. Logan thinks that it will be hard to refuse Bifrost again in this situation, but thankfully he has made preparations beforehand. He tells Bifrost that he is grateful for his compliments, and that he cannot refuse him if he wishes it so strongly. Therefore, he will keep himself anticipated. Bifrost thanks Logan for accepting his request and tells him that the choice of the McLains will be the first step towards reuniting the Southwest. He also adds that before this event that took place today, his old friends Percival and Roofman had agreed to unite under the flag of Bifrostat. In thankfulness for their deep loyalty, he intends to gift those heirs something personally. As he says that, some vassals bring into the room a table on which there are 2 objects. These objects seem to be 2 artifacts, a sword and a hammer. Artifacts are magical tools that hold or are injected with magic power, in order to make them have magical properties almost permanently. And it seems that these artifacts made by the mages that are called the Department of Wizards are more versatile than circle mages. Because of that, artifacts are defined into classes, based on the magic they are imbued with. Seeing these artifacts, Logan thinks that, of course, the Count must gift at least 12 million golds worth considering his status, as expected of the treasure collector, but their prices are absurd. Even one of the cheaper materials used is tilmithril, and to not waste the material, typically at least 3rd-class magic is enchanted. And in order to make a 3rd-class artifact, you need a gift-class mage, 2 classes above. So it's no wonder the prices surge so high. Seeing this, Logan wonders if Bifrost is really giving something like that as a gift. Just as he thinks that, Bifrost tells Ramon Percival and Eric Roofman to step out of the crowd. He asks them if they will swear loyalty to him. The 2 kneel before Bifrost. The Percival heir states that since he is representing the Percival family, he will pledge loyalty to him, and the Roofman heir does the same. As Logan sips some more wine, Count Bifrost says that he will accept those pledges. Thus, he will bestow Ramon Percival with the sword of Lambton and Eric Roofman with the hammer of Charkson. Hearing this, they say that they are honored. Going on, Count Bifrost says that he is not stingy with his gratitude, and that those that serve under him will be granted appropriate gratitudes. It appears that while he says this, he is staring at Logan, and so Logan puts down his glass. Seconds later, it appears that the heir of Parita comes from the crown, drunk as a pig, and asks the Count if Logan's sword doesn't seem better. He spills the wine and says that to him. It looks like the Count is blowing things up and asks everyone if they don't think the same. As Bifrost looks down on him, mad at what's happening, Parita says that he thinks Logan's sword looks a lot better to him. As a servant tried to take him away, saying that Parita is drunk, he insults the Count further, saying that he cannot recognize real talent. Seeing what just happened, Logan looks at Parita, calling him an idiot, and asking himself if Parita didn't just dug his own grave now. Logan thinks that the sword made by Hamar, named Lux, meaning twilight or hope in ancient words, certainly has a force to match that of most artifacts. He thinks that a master craftsman dwarf crafted it to fit him specifically, so it's a masterwork filled with soul. Logan thinks that it's not hard to get a proper item from dwarves, but greedy nobles never seem to be able to figure it out. He thinks that in the worst-case scenario, if his plans didn't work and the Count was forcing him in, he was planning on using the sword to negotiate or buy time. But that damn Parita idiot just jumped in and ruined everything. Hearing what Parita said, Count Bifrost asks Logan if his sword is indeed that great, and Logan replies by saying he was lucky to get a dwarven craft. Bifrost says that if that sword really is a dwarven craft, that rarity alone makes it match artifacts. He then looks down on Logan and asks if he could inspect his sword. Hearing this, Logan thinks that if he gives his sword to Bifrost, he's not getting it back, so he tries to calm things down, saying that even if he is young, as a knight, he finds it hard to hand over his partner to others. Hearing this, Bifrost says he has never heard such old words from a young man, and instead of giving it to him to inspect, he proposes to Logan to display his might as a knight. Bifrost suggests an exhibition match, saying that with these men that have artifacts, it will be a good comparison, and then asks Ramon and Percival if they are intermediate knights. One of them answers that he might still be insufficient, but he did become an intermediate knight a few years ago. Bifrost, hearing this, says that it's settled. Ramon and Logan will fight, not in a normal match as this won't be much fun, so they should put something on the line. If Ramon wins, Bifrost will take the dwarven sword, but if Logan wins, he will bestow him with a suitable artifact. He then asks Logan how that sounds for him. He tells Logan to draw his sword if he agrees, and Logan smiles, saying that this situation is heading in a way he didn't expect, but there is no reason for him to refuse. Logan then draws his sword and tells Bifrost that he will follow his command. Inside the training room, Ramon and Logan are facing each other, prepared to fight. Ramon tells Logan that since he is older, he offers Logan the first strike. Logan refuses, saying that there is no need for that, as he doesn't want to hear later that he had an advantage in this fight, thinking that he will be the victor either way. Hearing this, Ramon tells Logan that being called a genius has made him arrogant, saying that he will show Logan that there are skies above the heavens for his own benefit. Ramon then starts charging his aura. Seeing this, the women in the room say that Ramon's sword looks exquisite, and ask if all artifacts let off such a beautiful glow. Seeing this, Logan asks himself if he is trying to attract more attention or something, which would make him perfect for being targeted and dying. Logan thinks that this might have been exactly what Bifrost wanted, giving him an artifact more focused on flashiness than actual use. In contrast to that, Hamar's Lux is rather plain, but has perfect balance, sharpness, and durability. A sword only needs to serve its purpose well to be called beautiful. Ramon goes on to ask Logan if his pretty sword can handle an artifact, and Logan thinks that it doesn't seem like that dolt has the brains to know that, but he is actually worse than that idiot Parita. Ramon leaps forward, prepared to strike Logan down. Seeing this, Logan looks in the audience where he sees Franz, the Knight of Moonlight, and thinks that he can hide his full strength from him, but he needs to be careful to hide his confidence even more so. Realizing this, Logan thinks that he must match him somewhat. He must stumble a few times, let himself get scratched a bit, and occasionally pull off a nice counterattack. He must show a little vigor, and after he defeats him, he must end it with a line. And as he holds the sword to Ramon's neck, Logan says that he was lucky. Logan also says that upping his metabolism with Force Core to make himself swear also made everything more convincing. Seeing himself defeated, Ramon shouts to the Count that what happened was a mistake, and that he was not used to the sword. Hearing this, Count Bifrost says that this is enough, and that Ramon disappointed him, then asking if Ramon intends to say that his gift caused him to lose. Ramon apologizes, and Logan looks rather disappointed in Ramon too. Following Ramon's downfall, Count Bifrost says that he apologizes for making him such a sorry sight. He tells Logan that his men have wronged him, so he will especially open up his treasury and allow Logan to pick any artifact he wishes. Hearing this, Logan thinks that Bifrost is planning to keep him there at any cost, since he is confident that no matter what Logan takes, he'll be able to retrieve it. However, Logan won't allow him to do as he wishes. Next, a servant rushes in, telling the Count that the Sword Duke has contacted him for his birthday. This information leaves Bifrost stunned. Through the communication channel, the Sword Duke Felix Esperanza tells Bifrost that he deeply congratulates the birthday of one of the kingdom's most reliable pillars, and says that he is sorry to say he couldn't make it. However, he says that he is sure that those of them that attended are deeply appreciative of the Count's goodness, and Bifrost thanks him back. Seeing this conversation, Logan thinks that Bifrost is really getting down from his high horse and sucking up to Felix. Felix then notices Logan in the background and asks Bifrost if it's really him. Seeing this, everyone in the room is stunned. Logan thinks that this was the perfect timing for Felix to call. Bifrost is shedding a sweat, not knowing what to say, and Logan thinks that he has made the request, so he needs to follow along. Logan then steps forward, telling Felix that it has been a long time, addressing him as teacher. Once again, everyone remains astonished by what happened, understanding that this must be why he refused the Count in the first place. Felix huffs and says that he is at a loss of words to suddenly see the face of his student who never contacts him. He asks Logan when he is coming to the capital, as he wants to host a banquet for him. Logan says that he is sorry, but due to the troubles between families, he might have to remain at the Bifrost castle for some time, as the Count has made Logan an offer he cannot refuse. Hearing this, Felix turns to Bifrost, asking him if that is true. Bifrost changes his mind, saying that if the Sword Duke himself wishes for Logan, he can delay his needs at any time. After this, Logan thinks that he has made the right move asking for Felix's help. Despite being a neutral party that is not associated with either of the princes, he's the superhuman who holds up the royal family, thus, even the Count can't refuse such a man's orders. Felix then winks at Logan, saying he can't wait to see him in the capital. Logan lets his head down and thanks Felix, once again addressing him as teacher. Seeing this, Bifrost almost breaks a vein on his forehead. The next day, Logan is in Bifrost's artifact room, and a guard tells him that he has an hour to look around. The Count has guaranteed a single treasure, only one, so Logan is free to choose from the bunch. Logan looks around, thinking that there's about 30 treasures, so Bifrost must have removed the most important ones. However, each one of them is still worth 10 million gold, so he should try to pick a good one. Logan thinks that his enhanced senses from learning the Force Core allows him to sense the differences in the energy contained within artifacts, so that alone lets him judge their power. He skips the weapons, saying that Lux is good enough, and even at a glance, none of them are better than what Logan has seen at the banquet yesterday. He then sees an armor that's enchanted with fire and electric magic, but that will fry the wearer alive. He thinks that all of them are mediocre, yet something catches his eye. All the force is converging somewhere. He looks at one of the glass cabinets. Inside, there is a pair of armor boots. Logan looks at them, but he is skeptical, saying that he does not feel any magic from them, and asks if they are even artifacts. He notices something strange though. They continue to absorb Logan's force. He asks himself if anything will happen if he continues supplying them with force. Doing this, Logan is shocked. His force is being sucked in like a wave. Logan says that at this rate, he will suffer from damage. He then screams, saying that he wants to see who will win. He continues giving more and more force. Suddenly, a wave of force unleashes from the boots, and Logan is being pushed back. It turns out that his force has returned to him. That is when he realizes something. In the evening, Bifrost asks if Logan McLain has already left, with 3 days left until the party. He concludes that Logan really wanted to screw him over. Mad, he tells his knights to follow him and retrieve the artifact, and that sword of his, telling his knights that they can do whatever they want as long as he survives. In the forest, Logan chills next to a fire. Suddenly, he senses something, a killing intent which makes him stand up. Looking at the trees, he realizes it has to be a pursuer sent by Bifrost. A man steps from the bushes, telling Logan that he has got keen senses. He is using a distorted voice, which makes Logan think that he has to be trying to hide his identity. It appears that Bifrost has sent a group of 4 people. Logan asks the man if it isn't stuffy going around like that, and that it must have been tough to get there from Bifrost. The man in front tells his accomplices that they can do anything they want, as long as they don't kill Logan. The 3 men jump Logan, prepared to bring him down. However, Logan doesn't just wait for their attacks. Instead, he moves faster, attacking them himself. Seeing this, the man panicked. Logan's attacks seem to be too much for what they can handle. They ask themselves how an intermediate knight could move so fast. Seeing this, Logan thinks that he has made a good choice in choosing these boots. When the boots expelled the force he has pushed into them, he thought it might have been a flunk, but only after putting them on he saw their true value. The boots seem to give him enhanced reaction time and a triple jump in the air. And on top of all that, they also have self-mending and adjustable size. Logan concludes that they must be at least an artifact above the 4th rank, and a suitable name for them should be the Boots of the Wind God. Seeing that they cannot bring Logan down, they ask for the permission to aim for vitals, saying that otherwise, they cannot suppress him on their own. Hearing this, the cloaked figure lets out a sound of disgust, saying it's embarrassing. The man jumps from the back, with a silver aura around his blade, prepared to strike Logan down. Seeing this, Logan remains astounded. The cloaked figure lets out a wave of aura. Logan manages to block it, but you can see him struggling. He is pushed back, and he charges his own aura, prepared for what seems to be a brutal fight. He then tells the man that he never knew that the title of Moonlight was earned through sneak tactics. He then acknowledges his true identity, calling him Sir Franz. Uncloaking himself, Sir Franz says that Logan has not only hidden his true strength, but he has also exceeded it, telling him that he has an extraordinary artifact. It appears that this was indeed Sir Franz. Seeing this, Logan thinks that in the end he really chose to reveal his sense, and presumes that there was no point in hiding his identity now that he has shown his iconic Force Blade. Sir Franz tells Logan that he will be taking those artifacts as payment for the lesson he is about to give him, and Logan asks him what lesson he refers to, since he should be ashamed of his title, the Moonlight Knight. Hearing this, Sir Franz says that this is why he intends to make this a harsh lesson, and that he is grateful Logan came so far. Logan looks at Sir Franz, and wonders what is up with that peculiar stance of his, as it looks just like he's holding a whip. Sir Franz then starts using his force, attacking Logan. It appears that his Force Blade can actually move like a whip, which leaves Logan stunned. Blocking his attacks, Logan says they are relentless, and that he has been using his Force Blade since earlier, but it isn't working, so he doesn't know how long he can withstand it. Now that it has come to this, Logan must use everything he has got. Logan charges his aura, and manages to attack Sir Franz back. To no use, however, as Logan didn't feel any impact from the attack, even though he has used the first and second forms of the Divine Sword. Logan then notices something. In an instant, he does a black flip. Thanks to that, he manages to dodge one of Sir Franz's attacks. And as Sir Franz rises from the ground, Logan says that this attack was pretty close, and that he would have died if he wore it to let his guard down. Seeing Logan's dexterity, Sir Franz asks Logan how he manages to dodge his attacks, as it can't all be the artifact's doing, and asks if those were the secret arts of the Sword Duke. Logan, however, doesn't seem to be interested in what Franz says, and thinks that he is still standing, so his attack wasn't good enough. He thinks that if he wouldn't have had those amplified abilities thanks to the Boots of the Wind God, he would have taken that attack just head on. Therefore, he is just not strong enough to take on someone like Sir Franz yet, but doing this well against an advanced knight is decent. Logan then goes on to answer Sir Franz's question from earlier, telling him that he wasn't using any secret arts. He tells Franz to give him a moment, and he will show him a secret technique. Logan says that he is still a little unproficient with it, and Sir Franz tells him to go ahead, and that he will wait. Seeing this, Logan thinks that an arrogant man like him being excited as well makes things easier. In the end, all Logan can do now is believe in this secret art he has barely grasped even after a month of spending time as a high-ranking knight. Logan charges his aura, concentrating on his sword. He thinks that if he loses now, he won't just lose Lux and the boots, but Sir Franz will also make sure Logan will lose the ability to ever hold a sword again, so he must get a grip on things. He opens his eyes and says that now is the time. Just as he does that, it appears that Sir Franz is attacking. He screams at Logan, saying that he trusts his enemy too easily. Just before Sir Franz drives his sword through Logan's heart, something happens. Everything explodes around them. Seeing this, Sir Franz says that with this much impact, even Logan couldn't have escaped. However, Sir Franz didn't account for how strong Logan can actually be. With all his might, he has managed to conjure an aura blade. This is the third form of the Divine Sword secrets, and Logan is prepared to strike Sir Franz down with it. And seeing this, Sir Franz realizes he is actually in danger. The impact of the attack is great. Seeing the destruction and the flames, the knights that came with Sir Franz start looking for him. It appears that he is on the ground, coughing blood. He has managed to dodge the attack. However, he says it would have been better to die alongside Logan than go back defeated. Logan left on horseback, thinking how he let his guard down. He thinks back to the moment Sir Franz came at him while he was charging the third style. He saw the coin-sized hole pierce through his right chest, which must have been from the rippling divine. His excited expression and all that chatter was just for show, but Logan was unable to look through all of that. At least he knows one thing for sure. With his skills and treasures, he can definitely defeat a high-ranking advanced knight. He wants to say how that alone is worth a lot, but it appears he's going to fall from his horse. He remained on the ground and the horse kept going.